everyone, my name is Krista Everson, and I want to thank you for listening to my presentation on local history today. Local history is very important. What it teaches us is to remember the past, gain a deeper appreciation of the past, and understand the city that you're visiting or the city that you live in on a deeper level. I live in Austin, Texas, so today I will be telling you how to experience and encounter local history the Austinite way. However, all these principles that I'm going to teach you today, you can apply to your own town at home. How I'm going to teach you why local history is important is by teaching you how to experience local history by using your five senses. In my undergrad years, I had a professor tell me that local history and history in general surrounds us at all times. You merely have to use one of your five senses. This really stuck out to me. Yes, I did go to a liberal arts school, so we really like metaphors, but it stuck with me, and I've used it on tours in the past when I was giving tours around the Bullock Museum in Austin, Texas. And I think you're going to like this concept, and it will stick with you just like it stuck with me. Let's begin with C. Seeing local history is really important because it teaches you about the local history around you. Seeing is probably the most obvious way to encounter history. We're used to going to museums such as the Bullock Museum here in Austin or the Blanton Museum, which is our art museum here in Austin. But there's a lot of other ways to see history. One of the many ways is to see monuments. Monuments like the Willie Nelson Monument in Austin, Texas, teach locals and visitors that Willie Nelson is an important figure here in Austin. He's the spokesperson for Austin, Texas, because he was one of the key drivers in making Austin known for being a city where live music is always performed and where musicians have a safe haven to come and play their instruments on the street on a daily basis. In fact, I hear a drum coming outside my window right at this very moment. But it speaks to the history of Austin because we're known for being the live music capital of the United States. Now, you can also see history through the different murals that are all along the different streets. Austin is even known for having some historic mural walks in town. Some of the ones that I featured here are me and my friends at the I Love You So Much wall, which is down on South Congress, the oldest street in Austin, where you can also see some of the most historic and long-standing buildings. And then also the Rainbow mural, which is at the corner of the north side of Congress, leading up towards our Capitol, which is featured in the corner of this little video presentation here. That's the capital of Austin, Texas. It's known as the Pink Capitol and is one of the largest capitals in the United States. And it's a way where you can not only see historic monuments, read historic facts, go inside of it and see some of the historic chandeliers. But you can also see history in the making there and interact with people who are trying to change Texas laws or even laws of the United States. So if you want to be a part of history today, you can also go by seeing the Capitol. My favorite way to experience history is through taste. So Austin, Texas is known for being a place of food fusions. The reason why it has become known that is because Austin was one of the many cities that really started to cultivate different cultures together, such as the Mexican heritage and the Texan heritage. So if you know anything about Austin, we're known for our Tex-Mex. What Tex-Mex is kind of like an American fusion mixed with Mexican fusion. So it's not too spicy food. If anything, it's some Mexican dishes topped with a lot of cheese. My favorite Mexican dish is the chiquilas, which you can see these eggs on top of. It's day-old chips that are soaked in salsa, and then you put egg on top of it. However, you start to learn the history through food in Austin. Almost every restaurant has the menu where you can turn over and read the history. I have never been in a city where there's so many local owners in their restaurant all at once. They like to come out and tell you that their families blended cultures with Mexican culture and European culture, and that they have been creating these family recipes and family fusion recipes for hundreds of years. It's a really interesting way to bond over different cultures, but it's also a nice way to interact with the locals around you, because tasting and sharing food and different cultural values over a nice meal is one way to really interact with history and actually get to know the culture and people around you. Moving on to feel. Now, you can also feel history. So, what feeling history looks like in Austin, Texas, is by participating in some of the long lasting cultural activities, such as going to Barton Springs. Barton Springs was founded in the 1830s when Austin was settled as a city itself. And it's a cool running natural spring that gushes up cold water. Now, if you live anywhere hot or have been to Texas in the summer, this is a big deal. So, Barton Springs has served as a community place where people go and gather in order to get away from the Texas heat. But it's also become a historic landmark. It's protected in Zilker Park, and it's where a lot of people again go to play their live music. It's where people share cultural dishes with each other and just experience Austin as a city and as a community together. Now, you can also go to one of the many historic green belts. Many of the green belts are named after different figures in Texas history. Even there's a Sam Houston one. There's somewhat different historic green belts honoring the Mexican heritage, which has influenced Texas and Austin specifically. And you can see that in the picture of my dog and my dog's friend that are swimming. People in Austin are really big on pets, but we're also really big on outdoors stuff. And so you can go and experience one of the natural nature hikes, which are normally preserved. And sometimes, even if you go to a place such as Pedernales Falls, you can experience some pioneer towns as well and see how the pioneers lived. To interact with local history, you can also go and hear the history of your town or the city that you're visiting. Austin is an iconic place to hear history, or to even hear history in the making. Since we're the live music capital of the United States, sorry, Nashville, but it's true. Austin features all different types of areas where musicians can go and play. We have some of the largest music festivals, such as ACL, which is in the corner here in this photo. It's Austin City Limits. We also have South by Southwest, and many other musical events are in Zilker Park and in other different concert halls all along Austin. We also have many famous two-stepping places where classic country artists go. This one where my friend Sarah and I are is called White Horse, and it's a protected institution in East Austin, but most likely you've heard of Broken Spoke, which is on South Lamar, which is, as of right now, actually being petitioned to be a historic landmark as well for two-stepping and different line dancing and country music. And then finally, apart from music, you can also hear history through interacting with nature, even in Austin, Texas. You'll see my friend Chloe here. She is standing in front of Bat Bridge. So Bat Bridge is actually the bridge behind her. And what Bat Bridge is in Austin is there's tons of little thousands of Mexican bats that migrate from Mexico to the United States each year, and they make this bridge their home. Now, at sunset between spring and early fall, you can go and congregate either where Chloe is standing. You can be on a paddleboard underneath or to the sides on either side of the city of Austin, and you can hear these little bats chirping. And it's something that has become very iconic to Austin. We have bat murals all around as well, and they're considered a protected species because they get rid of some of the bugs which help our trees and some of the ecosystems here in Austin, Texas. Finally, you can smell local history. Here in Austin, you can smell local history by going and experiencing, of course, food dishes or maybe a local coffee shop, and you can smell it that way. However, you can also smell local history in some of the more environmental ways through Austin, Texas. Now, many of you know Lady Bird Johnson. She was one of the first ladies of the United States. She was also a Texan, and she chose to live her life in Austin, Texas after the presidency ended. And then Lady Bird Johnson, when she was residing in Austin, Texas, she actually made many, many efforts to protect the environment. She helped with the establishment of the botanical gardens, which you can see in Zilker Park, and you can smell some of the protected plants that she actually brought into Austin. One of her big goals was to protect some of the local ecosystems and some of the plants which were being destroyed because of the colonization of Texas itself, but also the continued efforts of building Texas and losing some of those vital plants and different nutrients that were found in the environment around. The other way you can see it is by experiencing the iconic cedar trees here. Hopefully, you don't have cedar fever because cedar trees are everywhere. They actually have some cedar trees that go farther back if you were to look at the roots and the tree circles than the Texas Revolution. Especially if you end up going to San Antonio one day, you'll see some of the protected cedar trees that are at the Alamo. Austin has some of their own as well. And the Texas revolutionary families, much like the DAR, they're very proud of the cedar trees, and they work every year to protect and preserve different landmarks and even environmental places that there were Texas revolutionary events at. I want to end by leaving you with a final challenge. Again, local history is really important. It surrounds us on a daily basis and really helps us connect to the culture and people around us. So, for your own city, or if you're ever traveling to a city, I encourage you to go on a walk and document the 5 different ways using your 5 senses what history you experienced. I did one as an example for you. So if you were to take this loop around Lady Bird Lake, you would be able to see Congress, you'd be able to see the Willie Nelson Monument, you'd be able to smell the botanical gardens in Zilker Park or feel Barton Springs. You'd also be able to hear the bats and also some local music there on Rainy Street. And that way you'd be able to experience all your 5 different senses just within one walk. I think this is a really unique way to meet the people, understand the culture, and really connect with the past, but also invest in the present day as you visit and explore new towns. So I hope you go out and do that in your own town and that you enjoyed or learned something from this presentation. Thank you for listening.